Hey Siri, are you ready?
Let's do this.
So the Apple HomePod came out last year after quite the delay, and ever since it's kind of been forgotten. Its recent big news was a permanent $50 price drop, going from $349 down to $299. Is this still worth it to buy, both as a smart speaker or just a speaker? Now, when this thing was first launched, it really lacked a lot of software features. The hardware impressed just about everybody, but what it could actually do, not so much. The last summer when iOS 12 came out, it did get to that kind of lower bar that everyone kind of expected on launch day, where it added things like the ability to use Siri to call people and third-party integrations with things like Philips Hue lights, and you can kind of integrate it a little bit more using the HomeKit enabled apps and third-party apps and do a little bit more as a smart speaker. But the smart speaker features are definitely still a little bit more limited than its competitors like the Google Home or the Amazon Alexa. You definitely won't be ordering anything on here, and maybe that's due to the lack of voice recognition in the HomePod. If you want this thing to be able to read your messages or make phone calls, just be aware that anyone can summon Siri to do that, and it is not just recognizing your voice. Well, for me personally, the HomePod does just about everything I need it to in terms of asking her questions and answering any sort of trivial type stuff. How tall is this person? What's this celebrity's age? When was this movie made? All those sorts of questions are easily answered, and some productivity stuff, knowing the weather before you leave, adding reminders, setting timers, things like that, of course, are all there, and the basic functionality is perfectly reliable and very useful, and Siri has gotten quicker over the years in responding. But if you really like to create complex questions or have almost a conversational flow to things, Siri's not quite there yet, and neither is the HomePod. Now, in terms of the hardware in this thing as a speaker, I think everyone can agree that it is truly fantastic. You have 7 tweeters going all the way around in a 360 design, and one giant sub blasting straight up to give you a whole room feel to the audio. You also have 6 microphones that are constantly listening to itself, so if you place this in a corner or in the middle of the room, it basically readjusts the speakers, the tweeters, and the sub and the sound to give you the best overall full room noise that you're looking for. Those microphones also really help pick up the "Hey Siri." I knew it was gonna ding. So even if you're playing loud music, you can still call for her and she'll pick up. Now, this thing really packs a punch in terms of sound, so here's a quick sample of a iPhone on full blast compared to the HomePod on full blast. You'll notice how much it fills the room, and even at max volume, you can perfectly hear the clarity in the higher tones, the mid-tones, and the bass, so it's really great, and it doesn't distort at any volumes. In terms of design, this thing is a lot smaller than I originally thought. You can definitely fit it in one hand picking it up, and it has this full 360 mesh design that almost feels a little squishy. It does mean there are no ports, so you're not plugging in any auxiliary cords or optical audio or anything like that, which a lot of people were disappointed by, but in typical Apple fashion, this is fully looking to the future of everything being wireless. Setting up with your iPhone, of course, takes less than a minute. Pretty much just hold your phone close to it and you run through the setup screens in literally like 30 seconds. Couldn't be easier. And Even though most people don't think that you can use Android with this HomePod, you kind of can. Any third-party app that allows you to AirPlay something, you can use this, and the toggles on top of the HomePod fully work, the volume controls, the play pause, or you can do it straight from whatever Android device you're on. Of course, you lose the functionality of, saying like, hey Google obviously isn't going to work, so you don't get the smart speaker aspect with an Android, but you do get somewhat of a Bluetooth type speaker. And the screen on top is really where one of my biggest hopes for the future of the HomePod is. We haven't even heard any rumors about what is to come of the HomePod, if it'll just die off, if there will be a second version. But what kind of confuses me is the fact that there is a OLED or LCD screen on top, and all they use it for is the Siri icon when you call for her, or a minus and plus button for changing the volume. But if it's a full circular screen on top, I would love to see an update that allows to show the actual song name, song info, album art. That would all look really, really cool, and even bring some of the smart speaker aspects to that as well, displaying weather information or being able to show who's calling. Anything like that would be really cool, and I think they're underutilizing the fact that they have apparently a pretty decent screen on top of this thing. Let me know what you guys think down below. Is the HomePod worth it to you? Do you think there's going to be a second one or a significant software update at WWDC this year? Would love to hear your thoughts, and if you have one yourself, what you think of it. Thanks so much for watching, guys, and I hope you have a fantastic rest of your day.